All right, so 6:30, I think we'll call the meeting to order. Start with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No, very much. I think roll call. I think everyone is here except for Eric. I think Eric is watching his son.
Yeah,
But-
baseball.
Playoff baseball.
Playoffs.
He's
Yeah.
pitching for the semifinal.
right.
Oh, my.
That's
High school, college?
I think-
No, they're little. They're middle school.
I think it's like middle school.
Oh, yeah.
Even better. Their kids are little.
No, I don't. It's middle. It's
Middle school.
Very young.
Yeah, they're young.
Why would they be state playoff then?
Yeah.
Wow. I should-
Maybe it's to go to this,
Okay.
maybe a travel league.
Little League World Series.
It's amazing, yeah. But anyway, so I'm gonna hand over to Carl at this point.
Thank you. So we have a guest here tonight. And her name is Sarah Sanders, and Sarah has accepted the position of finance director for the town of Old Saybrook starting September 1. She's been in town a little bit recently, meeting with Leanne. We're keeping Leanne on in some role over the summer, and they've already started their training sessions, but Sarah, we're very, very, very happy to have Sarah with us, and we had a little bit of a bumpy ride to get where we are, just for a variety of factors, but I mean, everybody ended up in a really good place, I think, and I know the town ended up in a really good place. And right, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, I'll let Sarah introduce yourself.
Well, good evening. I'm Sarah Sanders, and pleasure to meet all of you here this evening. I come from the State Treasurer's Office. I've been there for 27 years. Most recently, I'm currently serving as Deputy Treasurer, State Treasurer Eric Russell. Prior to that, I worked in the utility industry, and Jeff, your name is extremely familiar with this talk.
We work together.
Okay, because I
On
ended up.
securitization.
Okay.
Way back when.
So, but I've also worked in the state of Rhode Island for a while, but I was looking at leaving state service later this year, and I started looking at opportunities, and this one popped up, and Leanne will tell you, when she took the job 10 years ago, I was interested in it, because I owned property at the time in Old Saybrook, but I've always thought being a finance director for a city or town would be a great use of my skills from the state level, investing, borrowing, cash management. I'm all experienced with all of that, and budgeting as well, which is the big task here. So I look forward to working with all of you and filling the big shoes. I was attracted to Old Saybrook because of Carl's long-term strong leadership in this community, and also Leanne's record here. So I hope to fill her shoes. We worked together at the Treasury for 10 years before she took over. I don't think so. Oh, wow. Great. And I live in Clinton with my husband. I have a grandson up in Haddam, Connecticut, and we lived there for many years. And I hope that I can make I really respect volunteers that come out and you dedicate your time. I understand you meet twice a month, so that's a lot of dedication now. I'll be working to make sure your time is efficient and you have all the information you need to make the important decisions. So I look forward to joining on September 1, but I will be working over the summer as well. Great. And you'll probably see me some meetings.
Sarah is going to sit in on the meeting tonight, and if we can invite her to the table.
Oh, okay.
I think that makes sense in that way. Instead of having her sit over there, so.
Thank you.
That'd be great.
Do you want us to introduce ourselves?
Sure, yeah. Why don't we go around the table?
Nice.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Barbara Labriola. I'm the town treasurer.
Yeah, goody.
I've been here for 5 years.
Oh, wonderful.
Hi, I'm Megan Brady, and we're on our third year.
Third year, right?
Great.
It's a very young board. George Chang, I've also been here for 3 years as well, so.
Sue Spence is my first year on the Board of Finance in any volunteer municipal position ever.
Oh.
Mark Hand, also my first year on the Board of Finance and first municipal position ever. Looking forward to working with you, Sarah. Welcome.
Thank you, Mark.
We met a little bit earlier, Larry Hayden, IT director.
Larry.
Steve Johnson, and my first year, and we've actually spoken over the years in the past. I've done a lot of work with the state and bond underwriting and whatnot. So I know I've spoken to you once or twice. Welcome.
Okay, great.
Jeff Atkins,
We moved down here after I retired from Eversource 3 years ago.
Oh, 3 years ago.
Yeah, and I was on the Weathersfield Town Council for 10 years. Before we were down there. So nice, welcome,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the transition, I think will be great, for both Leanne and Sarah and for the board and for the town. So really looking forward to it.
So you met six of us. This is a 7-member board, and the last member is Eric Dassault. He's absent tonight, and he's been on for
Maybe.
Been on for a while.
4 years.
Been here about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
Not sure.
just one more year more than us or something.
Yeah.
So again, a very young board,
Yeah. Yeah, new
but
board.
fantastic board. And
I like when you say that young.
Yeah, well, Bridget said new.
Young boy.
George.
And so, right, and also I'm very novice, so it's still me. Right, next item, welcome, Sarah. Thank you very much for coming tonight. Next item on the agenda are the minutes, and we need approval for those. And so I need an action to approve the minutes. So 5/19.
Move to approve. There's
Thank you very much.
so maybe
And I need a second to
Second.
pursue. Any comments, questions on the minutes? All in favor, please say aye.
Right?
Thank you very much. No questions? Thank you very much. Next item, public comments. Thank you, Rick. Nobody else? Thank you very much. Okay, next item, presentation of the off-budget funds. I think this is something that Leanne had, was on my schedule a while back, and that meeting was too long, and so, Leanne was very kind to do it tonight, so. All yours.
Yeah.
Down the bottom,
Where is it?
down the bottom right. Next to the percentage slider.
It's the one
Way,
that,
way back.
Slideshow.
Yeah.
Slideshows.
That'll work.
Just make it bigger.
There we go. Okay. All right, so as the chairman mentioned, we've been attempting to do this top budget presentation for a while now. And you know, we have focused all of our time on the general fund. We have about 100 off-budget funds, and a lot of people, there's a lot of mystery around these funds. So the purpose of this presentation is to just go over what they are, why we have them, and, you know, I can answer any questions that you may have about them. So we'll talk about the management, fund accounting, sources of funds, the approval process, which I think is very important, how these funds become off budget funds, what role the Board of Finance particularly plays in it, our uniform chart of accounts, and of course, any questions that you may want to ask. So starting from the beginning, I just wanted to go a little bit about the boring things about the accounting of these funds. So fund accounting is a little bit different for towns than it is for other types of businesses, because we take care of a lot of different types of situations. And so the fund accounting is really how we record all of these. We have all of these funds, for all intents and purposes, take care of one type of matter, whether it be a donation or a grant, or you know, any other project that we have going on that we use with our surplus funds for our reserves. So each of them is kept in their own fund. And we talk a lot about in this presentation fund balance, and these funds, these 100 funds are all like a bunch of mini balance sheets. Throughout the year, they have revenues, expenses, and at the end of the year, everything falls to the bottom line, positive or negative. We have a lot of negative fund balances. Well, we don't have a lot, but we do incur negative fund balances, which you all know about, and we borrow from ourselves. And so that's basically the equity of each of these little miniature balance sheets that we have. And, you know, our auditors, they're coming in next week, and they're going to, you know, finish their accounting of us. And then they'll come in January to give a report. So a lot of this reason why we have these procedures and how we account for it, they're going to talk about it when they come in. But we have 3 types of categories that all of these funds will fall under. Governmental funds, those are the ones that we work with. That's the primary 100% of what we have here. Our debt funds, our reserve funds, our capital funds. And when I talk about the uniform chart of account, it'll make a little bit more sense of how we put this all together, how our auditors think about these funds. Proprietary funds are really when you have a business that has revenues that equal expenses. We don't have anything, but that would be like a water or a utility that sometimes municipalities manage. And then fiduciary funds is money that doesn't belong to the town, and that would be like our pension plans and things like that. So we have all of those different types of funds on our 100 funds in the off budget accounts. Obviously, we're working with other people's money, and we are held to a higher standard. And we want to be very careful, transparent, etc., on how we manage all of these funds. So on the next slide is the reasons for why we do that. We want to make sure that we keep our records separate, so that especially when you look back historically, we'll have a grant on the books for like 7 years, and then you have to go through and figure out how we spent all the money. But I think the most important reason is the second bullet. We want to keep all of these activities outside of the general fund so that we do not influence tax collections or tax levying of taxes. Some of these projects that are in the off-budget funds span over several fiscal years, and you don't want to have a levy that goes up and then a levy that comes down. We want to keep general funds separate from all of these different activities. And of course, we want to ensure transparency and accountability. So I think on the next page, with regard to these funds, it's important to find out where these funds come from and how they get to become an off-budget fund. And what I think is one of the most important points that we will be talking about is that everything that's off budget is approved in one way, shape, or another. And so it's meant to be there. When we went through the budget, which was approved at referendum, we had allocated certain funds that will be moved off budget when July occurs, some of our capital programs and things like that. At the end of this fiscal year, when we go over our surplus, we're going to have a town meeting, and then whatever it is that we all decide to do with our surplus, a lot of that money is moved off budget to future capital projects. That will be authorized, and then move those monies off. Capital non-recurring, if something happens between budgets and we need to do something, we bring it to you all, approve it, and then it goes to town meeting. That's when then it's authorized, and then it's moved off budget. Special revenues are grants and donations, and we come to you, mainly we come to you with when we do the grants that are reimbursable. That's what I'm trying to say, reimbursable, because you're making that appropriation, so therefore you have to approve it. And then special revenues also are programs that have fees associated with them and expenses, like things for park and rec and whatnot. And I'll go over the list of funds there on your places, all of our funds and how they have gotten there. All right. Another thing and I have given this presentation to various commissions before. People wonder about, their specific funds and how they're managed. And a lot of, people worry that some of these off-budget funds are maybe like quote unquote slush funds. They are not. And I like to emphasize the expenditure control that we have in place for all of these funds. And, starting at the big picture, we have state statutes that tell us how to handle all of these funds, our accountants, etc. We make sure, very important, that there's segregation of duties. Our department heads do not touch deposits. They do not touch checks. We do all of that. And we have many policies and procedures that are all listed here in place that tell us exactly how we're going to handle all the movements of these funds. And I talk about a couple of those policies in a moment. We have auditors, they come in, they do, testing and you've all met, well, I think you all met, yes, because you first came in November, so you all have met the auditors. And then within our accounting and finance area, we have a lot of procedures too that kind of, when you get down to where the rubber meets the road, that ensures that everything, all the expenditures are properly overseen. And of course, the finance director is responsible for tracking. So there's a lot of checks and balances and suspenders and belts to keep track of all of our money. So I wanted to talk about the fund balance policy. This is a Board of Finance policy. Our auditors back in 2019 required us to develop a fund balance policy. We didn't have one in place, so it was approved in 2019. In municipal finance, so as I said, you have your revenues, expenses at the end of the year. It drops to the bottom line to the equity position, which we call the fund balance. And within the definition of fund balance, they further define it, as non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, or unassigned. And we have a few of all of those except for assigned. We have one cemetery trust, which is non-spendable. So there's a trust agreement there. We have restricted funds, and those are for the funds that are governed by external factors, laws, rules that tell us, like the animal fund, the dog fund, how we will manage it. We have committed funds, and those are the ones that are restricted by town governance. Our surplus funds, capital, things like that, we've committed to through town meeting. And then unassigned fund, only the general fund has the unassigned balances. That's our rainy day fund. We never use assigned funds, and I hope that we never will. The example of an assigned fund is a town that uses their rainy day fund to support their budget. And then we would have an assigned fund in our financials. So I never recommend that, but that is out there. So I'd like to point out what we're not going to do.
It is done.
It is done.
It is done by other towns and they do it regularly. And what they do is either they'll burn down a large rainy day funds, like some towns, it might have 25% and they might burn it down a little bit, or other towns that don't have that will use it to offset the mill rate, figuring they will have a surplus and then replace those funds. There's a couple things, but towns do it. We have tried to stay away from that. I was never a fan of it. I see it in other towns and it just seems like a very slippery slope towards bad financials. So, yeah.
And it's a red flag, we like looking at the marketplace now, capital markets, they don't want to think that we don't know how to manage our monies here, so.
What is it that unspendable from? Are you just using the
Like-
income from it?
Yes, like a trust, so it's for the cemeteries, donation, can't spend the principal,
But you
but
can
you
spend
can
the
spend the
interest, you
interest.
just can't.
and then
spend
the interest becomes restricted.
Okay.
Then the funds fall within those categories: general government, capital reserves, non-major debt service, fiduciary, and permanent. I think that you're aware of those. I'll talk about that a little more when we go over UCOA. But most important about the fund balance is that it outlines how you all, everybody that is part of the process of approving and all that, and how all that works. So we do have the policy on that. So, the fund, a little bit more on the fund policy. The most important pieces, the non-spendable, restricted, capital and reserve, committed fund balances. The Board of Selectmen takes an action to establish that fund, modify or rescind it, and anything that's related to an appropriation, so in other words, the Board of Selectmen approves it, but then it comes to the Board of Finance to be approved. So you'll see that two-step process. That's how most, and then it goes, ultimately, usually goes to town meeting, of course, and then it becomes, that's how it gets to an off-budget account. However, special, revenue funds that have committed fund balances, so this example would be a grant that they give us the money up front. The Board of Selectmen would approve it and it goes directly to off-budget funds. Carl always tells you all about it, but action is not.
We don't have many of those. There's not many pre-funded grants that we get. There's one that we're gonna get in the next year and it's rather large. It's called Local Transportation Capital Improvement Program, North Main Street, when we did North Main Street. It's a $1.3 million project when we put in drainage and built the road. All of a sudden, one day, 1.3 shows up before construction begins. And we have another project that's gonna be Stage Road, Route 1. That'll be next year, and that's about $3.5 million. So that will show up magically. But it's pre-funded. There aren't many like that. So the difference between the ones we go negative on are the reimbursable grants. So since we're spending taxpayer dollars before we get reimbursed, we go to town meeting. On these other ones that we rarely get pre-funded, I typically don't go to town meeting on them. Board of Selectmen is aware, you'll be aware, but we're spending money that we receive from usually the federal government or the state, so.
And then the last type of fund, it's actually a type of proprietary fund, and internal. So we have the external, like a water company, and then we have an internal proprietary fund called internal service funds. The best example for that is, we have one for our insurance, fund. So, one of our vehicles gets in a car accident, and then we have to go to KERMA to request reimbursement. And so we pay for the car to be repaired. And then when we get the check back in, from KERMA, it offsets. So an internal service fund is money in or money out, and they all equal and it all balances to zero. And the finance director gets to approve those because it nets to zero. And it's just really something to assist us to better keep track of the way that we do business. UCOA, I call it UCOA, Uniform Chart of Accounts. So, we set this up many years ago. OPM asked us, all municipalities, to do this. Because every year I have to send these reports to them. And if they don't share the same chart of accounts as all the other municipalities, they have to crosswalk and some extra things. So when we went to a different accounting system, we took the time to match our chart of account with the Office of Policy and Management's recommendation. So again, it's to be able to compare ourselves, and there's data that's put out that shows one municipality versus another, pretty consistent, but there's still things that may or not be exactly the same, but at least it puts us on a, gives us the opportunity to see where we stand versus other municipalities. So we have that in place, but then on the next page, we talk a little bit about UCOA and what they did. And I bring this up because if you look at this handout that we have here, you can see that the funds start with 1s, 2s, 3s, 5s, etc. So all municipalities, if they follow this, their general fund starts with a 1, special revenue funds start with a 2. It helps you determine, how we place these funds in an off-budget capacity, what they're there for, etc. So, like our fiduciary, our pension plan begins with because it's a trust fund, etc. So that's just information. Here we are. Now we're at the end. So, I'll answer any questions that you may have, but obviously I want to make sure that the most important part of this presentation is to give you all a sense that we have a very strong infrastructure in place, that we are good stewards of money, the money that the town, that people, taxpayers and other folks, grants, people that give us money, donations, etc., that we, properly account for it, that we know that we follow all our procedures, that we have segregation, and most importantly, that we have a process that, is solid. So I'll stop there and happy to answer any questions. So on this, handout that I gave, I actually, added a final column at the end that basically states what the mechanism was that got it to an off-budget fund. So these balances are old. They changed every day. I pulled this off in April when I was going to do this in April, so these things are outdated. But it says whether it came from capital non-recurring, budget referendum, TM is town meeting, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll stop there and answer any questions.
And by the way, this is obviously something that can come up every month, questions can be this month. Yeah, if you look at Leanne's presentation, you have questions next month, or 3 months from now, we can answer that, so.
Is this typical that there are these many accounts for a town our size, or are we unusual, or this is?
Sure, but I would say, because I haven't ever run another town, I think that we're probably typical, and I think that large, the state does this too. They have, right, lots of accounts that, I'm sure Hartford has a ton of accounts.
So we've done this presentation probably 2 or 3 times anyway to boards of finance. Older boards of finance, not younger. And that question has come up, and it was a question I asked the auditors when they were presenting to the Board of Finance probably 5 or 6 years ago. And I said, is this unusual in any way, shape, or form in terms of how we're categorizing or the number? And they were like, they were nonplussed by it. They were just like, absolutely fine. But you can ask them that question too. And I would encourage that. Any questions you have for them? In terms of how this looks, how normal it is. It's funny because, we've kind of just been doing this and it seems super normal and logical to me because we really break everything out. But I asked the auditors that exact same question.
One other point where on the first page where it says special banks, sometimes we have to actually open up a different bank account just for that particular thing. And that would be if, the statute says that we have to, or if there's a reason why we want to segregate those funds. So those accounts are listed there. Capital all of those reserve funds are required to be separate, so we keep those separate. And also on the last page, sometimes people ask how much money we have at the Board of Ed. So there's those Board of Ed numbers. They also have Board of Ed has a reserve account, which is it 1,150,000 or something like that. And somebody asked about the HVAC account for the Board of Ed. So their sinking fund is 1,150,000. That's in a special bank account. And then at the very last, at the first page is the Board of Ed. They have almost 1.8 million. We asked that last month, how much do they have in there? So I'm gonna point that out. And DPW garage, it's 1.5 million, a little bit less.
Yeah. Do the auditors look at all of these accounts as part of the auditing share, and they're tying it off too?
Yes.
I'll start with Mark online. Mark, any questions?
Jeff, you were in Weathersfield. What did you see there?
No, I was muted.
Oh, okay. I don't remember going through all these accounts, but I think we had it, but it just seemed like a lot, but maybe we had them. We didn't get it presented.
Yeah.
No, I have a question. I mean, just looking at like the dog fund cash, is that something where we're getting that money in on a regular basis?
Dog licenses.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then do we look at that and say, maybe we don't need that much money in this fund? Are we allowed to move it back over?
Probably not the dog fund,
Okay,
but, the animal fund, that one, so the dog fund and the animal fund are closely related in that they serve the same purpose. Our dog pound, our stray dogs, our officers that have to take, so the expenses on that would be, officers that take care of that, the facility. If we have to do anything to the dogs or send them to the vets or the animals, I should say, so all of that is paid for out of that animal fund. The budget has been historically putting in $20,000 a year to the animal fund, which then is transferred to the dog fund. And we realized that that fund was getting a little large, and so this year in this budget, changed that to $3,000. And that's probably gonna last the next, what I say, 15 years. So it's gonna be, yeah. So.
yeah, and in general, I was just kind of looking at how often do we look at those and realize, okay, that's gotten a little, high, and then we move things back over because.
Well, I never move things without permission. Okay, so, and I look at it probably, definitely during budget season, when the department heads come in about their budget. We also look through their off-budget accounts, find out what's going on with them there, if there's anything is unusual, whatever. The end of the fiscal year, getting ready for when the auditors come in, we're looking at them at that point, making sure throughout the year we balance them. Anything in the special bank account gets bounced to the bank every single one. And we're always looking at it different points to different reasons.
Megan's point, the dog fund cash,
Moving five.
what, but how does that get spent down?
So, we have to pay fees to the state of Connecticut.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
so a dog license comes in.
oh, well,
Got rid
okay,
of the
so
mail.
it's a,
Half of it we keep, half of it goes to the state of Connecticut. Then we were putting all that money in from the animal fund, which was too much.
Right.
And now we pay for, there's, communication fees, there's, vet fees, there's salaries, there's,
Right.
transportation. There's all kinds of different expenses that come. So that will work its way down in the next several years.
Lynn, a few questions. So, I'm trying to basically, add up the big numbers, right? And so, I don't have your report in front of me, from your monthly next report, but essentially, or actually Barbara's, right? But essentially the town has round number $70 million, something like that,
Yeah, our cash position.
something like that, right? And
I
so,
looked at it here, it said like 40-50 million.
but in total, 70 million, and the pension is 70 million.
the pension,
Yeah, right, the pension is
30.
30 mil, okay, right, 30 million, so the other part's 40 million.
Yeah.
So our rainy day fund is 70%, so about 10 million,
Of the operating budget.
right, and so that's not in here,
So we have $44 million in cash. I'm looking at last month's treasurer's report.
okay,
That's what you're speaking.
right,
$1 million in cash. And of that 44 million, 9 million is our rainy day fund.
right,
Then we have in this report, did I say 15 million on the last page,
Yes.
$15 million is off budget. From 9 million to 25 million now. And then the balance would be, money that we have from taxes that's collected,
right.
cash flows that come in.
So would that be the 27 million then on the first page?
So there's 26 million on the first page.
Right, okay,
That includes the pension plan,
right,
okay? But we have, a cash position of 9 million there. We have a cash position in STIP of 4 million, 950, short-term investment fund, that's kind of in the middle. We have performance bonds, things like that. We have all kinds of things.
so I really can't add a 26 plus 15 plus 9 to get to any very close to 70 million. So I can't use these numbers and add up to the same.
Probably not. That's kind of, again, it should be fairly close,
I
but,
see.
it's a point in time.
But essentially then the off budget account total is about 15 million.
So 15 million, right? And then we have, yeah,
Okay.
it's 26. 25, 26. So, in this particular example, 26 million, including the pension plan, plus 15 million is 40 million. Then we have, other stuff at Morgan Stanley that I don't think is here. We have the securities here.
Bond portfolio?
So, yeah, I guess we do have. We don't have the whole portfolio here.
You don't.
No.
Okay.
I could try, I know what you're trying to do, and I'd have to go back.
But it just want to, so but essentially the off budget account total is about 15 million.
15 million.
Okay. And then so every year during budget time, we seem to add about 15 main projects. I don't know, is that a better way to say a capital project?
Not 15 million.
No, 15.
Oh, about the projects.
Project. And then at the end of the budget year, most of those get spent, like Parks and Rec buys a bench or something, right? It gets an item and then it gets spent. And then the next year we add another 15. So essentially we're adding 15 and dropping 15 roughly every year. And so when you say
Not
this
15 million, are you
No.
saying 15 million?
accounts,
15 funds, okay, all right.
funds, yeah,
Sorry.
funds.
You
right?
switched on me.
No, because at one point you said we have about 100 different funds. And so that 100 is not really moving that much, and we're not really dropping that.
So what we do, and what we do for named projects is that we put all of the DPW projects in one fund, all of the Park and Rec projects in one fund. Let me see where that is. I think that's like 3059. Yeah, if you look to fund number 3059, 3060.
Oh, I see.
We put them all in one fund, because we know they're gonna go in and out that year.
I see.
Pretty much.
And we also closed.
Yeah.
So your point.
The time doesn't move.
There is a lot of moving parts. I agree with that
Right.
point. But what is it that you are trying to, pull together?
Well, so like this $15 million, right, generates income.
Yeah.
Interest income, right? And so I'll pick some of the big ones, right? So the DPW garage right now, there's 1.5 million in there. When that gets spent, it'll no longer generate income,
Correct.
right? And so our income part that we budget will vary based on this. And I'm just trying to figure out how many. And so the school theoretically, well, until they built the HVAC, right? They have almost $2 million to that one. That's generating income until they build it, and that will all go away, right? So,
Correct.
so this 15 million,
15 million is what you should be thinking about for that.
right? That 15 million could drop,
Yes.
and what is, I guess the question, what is that risk of that dropping, right? Because what is the near term that it will go away,
Well, the DPW garage, I'm sure, will be gone
right?
by the end of this year, early next. I don't know what they're doing with the, air quality thing. But, those accounts, have been higher, and I've reported on this, like 20 to 25 million in the past. They're coming down there at 15 million now.
Oh, this was 20 million.
It has been in the past, just a
Wow.
lot higher. But we also, have negative balances here. So, the pluses and the minuses, so we see what the negative balance. In the middle under special things, minus 244,000 for the DPW right there. And we try not to go negative, but I just wanted to point that out because we get Board of Finance permission to go negative.
So here, but also, George, there's some new revenue coming in. I hear what you're saying. The bigger numbers will drop because those are bigger projects, capital projects that may just drop more rapidly. The cannabis tax revenue, on the other hand, is growing, right?
I see.
20,000 a month. But and the police vehicle purchase, yeah, I mean, I think it's best to probably look at this, maybe gather 2 or 3, look in a rolling 3-year maybe.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to look at it. And I don't know whether it should be June 30th or, you know.
Because you will see, you know, with the sidewalk to Westbrook, that's gonna go negative
gonna-
pretty soon.
Or not negative, negative.
Negative, because it's a reimbursable grant. We put in some money and then I don't think that they.
Oh, true, we haven't, the steep grant, that's true, yeah, you're right, yeah.
I mean, essentially, if we say it's, right now, interest is 4%, I can do my math that way, right? So 15 million, this is generating $600,000, right, per year. Right, if this goes down to 12 million or 10 million, right, because.
So definitely something to keep an eye on.
So if we plotted this out, I mean, you were saying, if we plot this out, are we going down?
Yes,
We are going down.
yes. But I mean, it's not like, you know, these balances on the one hand are steady. They're kind of eroding.
Right.
One of the grant programs are for strong, that was $3 million, that's on this farm.
Yeah.
You know, these other things that
With ARPA,
are was all in this here.
so that.
There's hardly anything left.
No, yeah, but when it was in here, it's probably like 18 million, that's right, because we probably added.
Yes, that was,
It was 3 million.
3 million.
But we unloaded probably 500 to 700,000 pretty quickly, just to get money out the door. But yeah, that was sitting in there for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think there was only like 80,000 left on that, or so.
but
And when we go negative, you know, which I know happens infrequently, for example, sidewalks or transfer station, is there an expense accounted for at that point internally?
when it goes negative.
Yeah.
Well, yes. I don't know, well, so when it goes negative, we want to make sure we're going to be able to get reimbursed for it, you know, and so if we think about it, it's almost like a mini budget, like if we can spend $200,000 and we're negative 212,000, there's a problem there. So we watch those types of things. We want to make sure it's, you know, we do that, we manage that through purchase orders. And when a new project is set up, we like to set up the purchase orders so that they all won't go over that line, because we can't spend over whatever you approve.
Right.
We cannot go
So it's
over
just,
that.
really just a short-term timing issue.
Right.
really, yeah.
So if we do go over something, sometimes we go over a little bit, like 1,000 or something, they don't have to take it from the department's budget if they didn't manage that
Right.
project well.
I'm sorry, I just, if I go one more, I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, what are some of the, if you, I printed this out, so I don't have the same. I'll do it this way. If you look at like the police car, like, I think it's on the 4th page on this one, then, I don't know what page. I guess the 3rd page, but like the police vehicle is 20,000, for example, right? And then I'm just making, I'm not really sure what these mean, right? Like sidewalk to Westbrook, I suspect it's the one that's basically being built right now, it's almost done. So a lot of these projects are almost done with the police car being bought, the sidewalks are almost done, right? So these valves would go away.
They're gonna go away.
So just 2 of those is almost $500,000, right? And so, I'm just trying to get a sense of, is there anticipation, how much, within a year, how much is this gonna drop by? This 15 million?
Well, we're gonna have new projects coming on, so I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get to the bonding part of it when we do get the bond, we'll go in here as well.
I mean, you'd have to go through it line by line.
Understood, yeah.
And
No, I mean, I was more in terms of,
In the next 12 months, you know, if you go through this line by line, X number of dollars is going to roll off, which would normally generate at 4%, X number of dollars.
right. I'm just, I'm much more interested in terms of how much interest income
Yeah.
is at risk. And, all right. Any other questions, Mark? Anything else?
Just quickly, we've got two major projects that are probably coming between the library and the Catholic government. You know, obviously, so everything gets approved. And there you have a combination, state money, town money, private money. How does that all get reflected in here?
So, some of the donations, well, Mark knows where the donations are. Mark and I have talked about this. Some of the donations are at different bank accounts for the library. Some of the money from the town is in these accounts. Some of the donations are in these accounts. Amanda at the library keeps track of it, and that's one of our questions when we go to market, because we have money at Webster and Liberty and, you know, wherever the Tucker Fund is. Maybe that's what's at the other bank, but, you know, how are we gonna pool all of these funds? And how are we gonna manage it from a construction perspective? Our piece that we have here, the grant money's gonna come in, that'll be another thing from the state that comes in. And then we'll have to make sure that we get bond money that comes in, and we're gonna wanna spend the bond money first because they want us to spend the bond money first. And, you know, so that is something Sarah's gonna have to figure out.
I think what's gonna be,
Good luck, Sarah.
what's going to be a little more interesting is assuming the Cape project passes. If you have a total project cost of, this is not the number, okay? 10 million, and let's say you have 5 million from the town and 5 million in donations. Those are not the numbers, I'm just using wrong numbers. We were talking about that from a bond issuance point of view, and you know, you're writing a $10 million project, but there's 5 million in donations. Some of them have not been collected, right? Some of them might be pledged, and it's just kind of an interesting dynamic. And we have talked this through, not through, but we have raised that issue with bond counsel, and they're going to be writing the resolutions and everything the way they need to be written. That's a little bit more complicated. So we'll see where that goes. But that is moving forward, and you'll hear about that at a later date.
And so somehow that, if we've got this sheet, like,
all there.
then that's not all there. Okay, all right, that was the question. That's fine. Where is that money? Where is the money that, you know, when Mark was treasurer of the library, there's what, $3 million they collect.
It's not
It's
there.
not there.
Well,
But when the project, I'm sorry, go ahead, girl.
they haven't collected 3 million. They already had 1.3 in the Tucker Fund.
Okay.
And Mark, I think the number that was donations, including the Tucker Fund, was just over 2 million. Like
Yeah,
2.1.
yeah.
Actually, I think that number ends up being about 2.3. Yeah. So, but not all of it was collected. About 800 was collected in this drive, but that is being held at the library. Right?
At Liberty Bank.
At Liberty Bank.
But, and Mark's managing that, you know, but.
No, I'm not anymore. I'm not the treasurer anymore. I came off in April.
Oh.
Noel Marcharge is the new treasurer.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the point
I was.
is in place before the construction begins, before the bond money is issued, how we're gonna manage all those sources of funds. That is on our list of things to do, you know, or to finalize.
Don't want to get into the halfway through the project.
No.
That pledge was coming in.
Well, they're doing better. The Kate is doing a little bit better. That was again, example, a little bit of exaggeration, but
Right.
there are some of those complications coming up. I mean, their larger donations are probably gonna be in the door shortly. So, anyway.
Can I just ask another question about the Parks and Rec? This would be 3053.
Yeah.
So this is the Parks and Rec sticking fund. So this is where the money from the mini golf is going towards.
Correct, yes.
And so are they shooting for a particular number before they
Spend,
spend?
so that, they want to do Clark Park, Town Park. They have a big project there that is being brought up, and they estimate that to be probably about a $2 million project. Yeah. I mean, we don't know what that number is, but they're making, that fund is gonna be at $1 million very shortly,
Right,
probably at the end of this year.
could still be, but at the rate they're mini golf would be another 5 years, right, to get the 2 millions.
Yeah, I don't know, but we don't know if we can phase that project, so. But that is one of the reasons we did what we did with mini golf money and some of this park and rec money is so that we could fund their larger projects. And that was project number one for them to fund, was Clark Park. They want to get that project done. Make it a more usable field. You're familiar with that, right? So,
Yeah. I mean, we could probably, via no other questions, we can probably move on to the next one, because I think a lot of the questions I had, maybe it's gonna be related to what you're gonna be talking about in terms of bonding, right? So, I think the next item is the selection report.
well, I think are we doing something else before then? Did you want to?
I'm done.
Oh, the bond,
The bond issuance?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can talk about that. That's part of your report, though.
it is, huh?
Yes.
Really?
Because
I don't have that memo, even though you told me to print it out.
it's in your package.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want me to talk about that?
No,
Or do you want?
So we have the two projects, obviously, well, I mean, I don't have to repeat what's on this, so, it's more important to look at the timeline. Leanne and probably Sarah can very eloquently talk about, the POS and the, official statement after, but we want to move this project obviously forward. We will have to go to town meeting, we'll have to go to referendum. So we need to put the dates in our head where the Board of Selectmen may recommend a number to the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance takes that recommendation, you do with it what you will. And then it goes from there, it goes back to the Board of Selectmen to call a town meeting, which adjourns to referendum. So we're shooting, as you can see, for referendum on September 29th. We're shooting for basically the Board of Selectmen to kind of push it off to town meeting or to a town meeting and then ultimately referendum on August 25th. And Board of Finance approval will have to come before that. So that's your timeline on this. In the meantime, there's a lot of work to be done on the preliminary official statement.
So by August 18th, you'll come to us with a proposal of what are the numbers?
Before then,
I see, before then.
yeah, I don't want
But,
to come to you on August 18th.
We see.
Obviously.
Okay.
I know the summer, it's June, you know, it's like, oh.
Right. So can I ask a question about this? But it's gonna be related back to my previous question, right? So let's take the Parks and Rec, Clark Park or Saybrook Point, right? And so all those are gonna be projects that potentially would need money, right? Are they gonna be built into this bond?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Clark Park, they don't have final design yet, which, so they don't-
Well, it's just other larger projects, right?
Yeah, so the other, when you talk about Saybrook Point, from surplus funds this year, I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, I intend on asking this board to appropriate and go to town meeting, probably for, assuming we have a surplus that will support it, probably 250,000, or it could be a little bit larger. I want, that money we're gonna be in design for about a year on this. So I wanna be able to pay a landscape architect. We put out an RFP on Monday of this week for a landscape architect. We have 3 very interested firms. We're probably gonna end up with 10 very interested firms. The planning commission, we're gonna have a committee to go through those architects, so. By the time we hire a landscape architect in September, October, we've given them a 9-month timeframe, so this project is out a year and a half anyway, before it needs funding. In the meantime, if we have a final design, we will apply for grant funds, whether it's a steep grant. We'll have an idea as to price at that point. And, whether it's additional funding that we need, whether it's over and above, what we might get in a grant. Maybe it's some of the funding from this year's surplus and maybe some funding from capital non-recurrent. When I was asked how we would fund this project 6 months ago, there were sources such as bonding. We have a $2.1 million balance in our capital non-recurrent fund. That money's there to be spent too on projects. You can't, so if we're able to get a grant and we have to supplement it with a larger capital non-recurring, so that's one project. I know you're asking a bigger
Right,
picture, and you've done this at the last several meetings because I know you're thinking about it.
Right.
Other than, those two projects, there's always going to be something, and I know we're not talking about the schools right now.
Right.
And let's not.
Okay.
Because we don't have any information.
I understand.
So I don't want
But
why speculate?
I understand, but it's feel like we're kicking that can down the road a bit. It's not gonna go away.
The WPCA project, probably, I feel like I've said this 3 times previously. Over in the last 15 years, seems like it's 5 years out. I really, we had a meeting with them recently and they said, you need to do, it's an environmental review. It has an acronym. That takes a year. Then RFP will go out in the fall. That's gonna take a year. Then it has to go to referendum. Then it has to go to final design. It's crazy. So that project is also not, it's imminent, but it's not occurring in the next year to 2, probably not 3. So, that's, and I don't have a number on the DPW garage. I will have one probably within 2 weeks. And the Kate is gonna have new numbers also within 2 weeks. They've done some value engineering. They've changed the design a little bit that is more effective for them and has led to some lower costs.
I have one question. Isn't this, my experience, and maybe Sarah can answer, the time between referendum and the bond sale is unusually tight. It's only 2 weeks. It's normally much longer than that, in my experience. Is that?
Well, we asked our, financial advisor to help us with the timeline.
And they said that?
And we told them when we wanted to do the, referendum. I suppose it could be a major problem if it's voted down, that gives us no, leeway. If it gets voted down, but I guess we just either would have to go back out to referendum with different numbers or, a different bond offering, but it would probably, the work will all be done by then, the official statement will be done. And it might be a matter of one project that's approved and one doesn't. Or if they both get approved or we go back out for different numbers. I'm not sure what strategy would take place at that point, but those dates would move if the referendum fails.
Are you going to basically pose this bond sale essentially as the 2 major items, the Kate and the garage?
Yes, 2 questions.
2 questions.
Oh, so one could pass it and not the other,
Well,
potentially?
Well, first of all, I will talk with council about that. I would think it would be 2 questions. I would think, but don't quote me on that, honestly. I'll have to, I know when we went out in 2013 or 14, there were multiple questions. Anybody else remember that? For the police station, turf track and tennis? As I recall, there were multiple questions on that. But I'll check on that. I'll make a note of that.
No, I mentioned Leanne before, I think this is gonna be awesome time, I think the size of the deal is gonna be great. The, rating upgrade in June is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I bet you if we find ways to subtly, just market it locally,
Mhm.
it's gonna be to our best interest to drive that lower net interest cost, because I think you're gonna see, residents, particularly in that, 1 to 5, 1 to 10 year range,
Right,
buying, whoever ends up in a competitive sale, buying the debt.
right. That's good for us.
No, great
Very
time.
good for us, yeah.
So I know, I understand so little about this. So given Steve's point, then why are we limiting the amount to just 2 projects as opposed to just say we want to borrow 15 million and use it for?
You cannot, you have to say what you're gonna use it for. You can't-
Bond
you can't-
commission.
I see.
And we won't have anything. Clark Park's not ready, the Point's not ready,
I see.
unless you wanted to do roads, which,
Yeah,
It'll have a description of the projects within the prospectus.
I see.
It goes out to the public, what we're doing.
I have another question. Is it anticipated to be kind of level debt, or we're gonna be playing around with the maturities at level debt?
that's the idea.
That's how we monitor.
20 years?
20 years level debt.
So,
Deferred interest for 2 years, principal paid for 18 years.
cool, that'll be fun.
I'm sorry, I mean, you're having other questions. So related to this whole topic then, right? So you guys were touching about the surplus coming up, 2.7 million. We don't exactly know what the final number is, right? And so are the ideas or proposals for what to use the surplus for, is it all carved in stone yet, or can people chime in terms of their own pet projects and so on? How does that work?
Usually the Board of Selectmen
I
will
see.
propose it to the Board of Finance. But I am making notes as I go along.
I see, okay.
I am, for what I see as needs, and certainly Saybrook Point is one, for sure. We need to have working capital, just like we do with the last year with the 1.5 for the DPW garage. That's been super, because I can hire an architect, we can work through, get a cost estimate. And there's a few other things, but first things first, we keep our rainy day fund at 17%. That's where the first part of the surplus goes. So. But while we're in discussion, certainly we can discuss.
And I encourage,
But yeah, maybe not tonight.
I don't understand, but I mean, they can all just email you with their pet projects.
But we do have a capital plan and some planning.
That is true, that is true, we do have that as well.
We're not in Hartford, George.
Is that right?
Back for it.
Just a request, just because I really haven't been down there. Sometime before we would vote on this, it might be helpful, at least for me, to actually see the public works area, so I could get an idea what where.
I'd love for you to see it,
Yes, sometime
Before.
before we vote on it.
Make them go in the building.
Great.
Again,
That that's a very,
field trip.
that's a great idea.
So the inland wetland, and I don't know what that group is called, my wife is on the board. They're gonna visit the garage area, like, within the next couple of weeks. Now it's gonna tag along, I'm gonna go order, I'm just gonna tag along, and so.
You're gonna go to the.
I was gonna go.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna go to the meeting, I'm just gonna go visit the garage, so.
What I can
And
do
so-
is send an email. I can send an email to the group. And if you want to connect with Bill Claffey, I'm sure he'd love to have you over.
But I was just saying, that night, there's a group going already.
The night one.
The inland wetlands, and I'm not sure the last.
Oh, are
one.
they doing
They
a?
are.
I didn't realize.
They're gonna
that.
go like within the next 2 weeks, some Thursday night.
Yeah.
I was
I
going
didn't
to,
realize they were actually going.
they're gonna go,
Oh,
because apparently building that thing has some issues with wetlands.
well, it sits on an aquifer, so.
Yeah,
that's-
and so that group is going, so I was just gonna tag along,
Yeah.
so, but,
That'd be fine. I mean,
but I'll find out when it is and.
make it efficient for
Oh,
you.
absolutely, right, and then we're
It works.
yeah.
Do they have to be careful about meeting as a group from Crawl?
Maybe, maybe not. I wouldn't, if you're truly going as members of the public, you know. But I'll email you also. So if you choose to go meet Bill in a different setting, you're more than welcome to do that. Inland wetlands might be looking at very specific things also and not necessarily looking at all the interior of the building. That's more of a waste of their time. Well, because
And if
they're looking at the boundaries of the wetlands and where the
Yeah,
construction is
that's
gonna be.
That's fair, that's a good point. You do another item that you sent out?
Police department budget.
Let me do one other thing before we do that. So we have an open space fund that I think has about, well, we can look at our off budget account. Probably has 200,000 plus in it. We plan on using that, when the time comes to possibly buy the David Brown property. If it ever comes out of probate, I really don't know what's holding it up. That's about a $90,000 purchase. We about 6 months ago, maybe more, the land trust asked for some funding and we gave $10,000 because they're looking to acquire, I think it, whatever it is, a multi-acre piece of property over by the Old Saybrook Racket Club. The Old Saybrook Racket Club currently owns their property and an adjoining piece that is 14 acres with a 6-acre pond and a vernal pool. It's a target property for them. They had a deal for 300,000, then they got outbid and then they went back and they bid 350. The town had given them $10,000 in that original $300,000 bid. They've come back and said, would you be willing to maybe throw in another 10,000? So for $20,000 to assist the land trust in acquiring this property, it is my intent to release another 10,000 from the open space funds. We have gone into these funds very little in 15 years. I think the original amount in there was 230, we're probably down to 210, you know, so we just, and, you know, the land trust is not, you know, the Essex Land Trust, the Lyme Land Trust, you know, those land trusts sit in a different financial position. Our land trust hustles for every piece of property that they acquire, and they're a good group of people. They love this piece of land, so I just want to tell you that the money is already designated. It's in there. I'm advising you that I would like to do this unless there's some major objection to it, but John
That's
Ogren.
great.
So a few months ago, you talked about an issue with, the agreement that the town would have the right of first refusal to buy the property.
Not
Is
that property.
different?
No, that's the David Brown property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one I thought said you were talking about.
No, that's not this property.
Okay,
This is, the land trust is looking to acquire this property.
okay, maybe at some point you give an update on that. I finally did a hike there and was trying to recount what the story was.
Did you happen to go to Rockview Lake? Did you go to that?
We walked in where the Stuke is.
Yeah?
So we trespassed a little bit and then went all the way to, the Frisbee golf area and.
Oh, yeah.
It was 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Stunning,
Yeah,
stunning.
yeah.
Is that the piece that we're talking about?
That you trespassed on, yes.
Yeah.
You didn't say that publicly.
I did. Sorry. Well, I saw the sign, town, on the way back, town property ends here. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, this whole time. Yeah, we
But
made
even
it.
better than that is, I'm not sure which direction it would be. I'm gonna guess east. When you enter the property where the stupa is, the town owns a piece of property called Rockview Lake, which is an old quarry
Yeah,
that was dug out when they were building the Baldwin Bridge or, I-95 or whatever. Apparently it's stunning in there and there's really no good access,
yeah,
which is one of the reasons
yeah,
I think the town would like to acquire this, to give the town another recreational area.
yeah.
Probably not a swimming hole, but maybe a fishing hole, little, you can kayak, I've never been there, but.
We should take a field trip there, but we don't need trespass.
I've been there. It is nice. And it would be great to have public access. Right now, there's just assuming it's a private road, gets gated and locked, and there's a sign there.
Well, it shouldn't even be that.
Well, the house itself, I know it's in terrible rundown condition, but it's just the stucco house.
On the brown property, yeah.
It's like, man, someone should buy that.
Well, I hope the town's
That's-
going.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what will become of that
Yeah.
stucco house or the barn, I'm not sure.
Easy. It's very cool.
Yeah. And it connects, that's the thing, it connects to other town property.
Yeah.
So that's that. Is the chief on, Larry? No. Okay.
Do it.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll text him. Go ahead, you start.
So the chief, would like to spend some money out of his budget this year. And as you know, when we go over line items, the Board of Finance wants to be made aware. And so, he, wants to spend some money on operational items, which are listed here for the outfitting of the cars that he's gonna buy in July. And I think, yeah, that's it for the cars. So because the budget for the police department, we had a lot of turnover, including the chief himself last year. The line item for benefits, health benefits, is just going to be over by about 120,000. We didn't know what the employee choices were going to be, and several of them waived, and so there's a large amount of money left in the employee benefits. We typically tell our department heads that they should not spend that benefit line item because it is budgeted by the finance department. And if employees make choices that make it go over budget, that's not their department head's fault, so we handle that issue. And if they have money left over, we tell them that's not yours to spend, so he would like to spend that. So, Carl and I discussed and we're comfortable with it, given this one-time nature of the outfitting of the cars. We have the money in the budget. And so that totals about 143,000. There's going to be about 120,000 in benefit monies. There's also some other monies left over in salaries and things like that the chief feels comfortable utilizing. But he wants to be in full disclosure of what he's doing, so there's no surprises when we get to the end of the fiscal year. Technically, it's his budget, he can spend it and then be responsible for it, but he's being responsible now by coming forth and is just closing what he would like to do with all of you and make sure there's no major exceptions.
His comment to me was he really just wants to get as much of this done in this fiscal year as he could. That way he goes into next fiscal year not having the burden of additional costs. And he really was trying to, as best he could, put less money on the finance end of it, knowing that he might be able to do this with his budget. So, not opposed to it. And we just wanted to be transparent. If there's any questions,
I just have a question. In the memo, it says that it wasn't included, and you just made mention it wasn't included in the original ask. And I'm just curious, that was because he thought there'd be extra money left in the benefit fund that.
Yeah, he knew they were trending towards a surplus, certainly on the benefit side. In addition to that, he wanted to keep the numbers on the finance side of it such that a 4-year payoff is realistic because it's a 4-year finance deal.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I get that. And I think that's prudent. I will say it's a little, surprising just to hear after the fact that, there's all these other
Well,
that would have come into the decision, I think, for the overall cost of the vehicles. Because now what I thought was this great bargain that the vehicles are getting exponentially more expensive. So it's just a
he did
concern, that's all.
that, in that, as part of that, disclosure that they could pay for this from outside services as well. So he did mention that some of these things would be purchased out of outside services, that we're having a banner year again with all these projects around town. But the preference is, instead of doing that and spending that account down, since he has it in his budget, we're to do it here. So I just want to make that, so you don't think that if you were, not fully disclosed.
Oh, no. I don't think that at all. It's just when I'm making the decision, when we were all voting on whether to approve these vehicle purchases, it's knowing the full cost, I think would have been helpful. It could have changed somebody's opinion. And as far as the using the road job money, I forget the outside services, using this. Otherwise, would this money go back to our town surplus? I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, just in the future, I think it'd be nice to have the whole cost of the vehicles, even if we're not paying for it with this year's taxpayer dollar.
So the chief thought, he just texted me back and said he thought it was for 2 weeks from today that he would have to, so, we can have him come then too and explain it, Mark.
No, that's not necessary at all. I get it. I'm supportive of this. It's just
I
going
hear
forward. It's yeah.
I hear what you're saying, and and even if he does do this, he may want to come to you anyway and talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's kind of who he is.
Great. Thank you.
So we'll move forward on that, but maybe he'll come to the next meeting anyway. Okay?
Hey, I have a question, and it might be for you. So I see the cloud versus servers. Servers make me really nervous. In general, do we have in general, like, is the town in the cloud? Are they on servers? Is it a mix? Because sorry, sore subject.
Well, no, and it's, I can't speak to exactly the way PD manages those services and the way they're laid out, because it's a completely separate environment. You don't have visibility into that.
No.
The same thing with, I don't have any visibility in the way the school system does it either.
Yeah, interesting. So how about here?
Well, it sounds similar to things that Larry has said in the past, that, we were on servers for this particular software program, and then all of a sudden they have a cloud solution and they stop supporting the servers, or the servers become, overwhelmed, or whatever the case may be. It's something like that. It's the WatchGuard. I don't know if you're familiar with that. WatchGuard.
So in the PD?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
No, I have not.
But it's just, same situation.
But in general, do you see that, right? Like, servers, sorry, they're full, go to the cloud, cha-ching. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, we saw it.
There's a slide that we go through.
Yep.
Towards the beginning of budget season, that I think that if we were to look at it now for general government, that if we were to say that there were 10, 12, 15 different software services that are involved, probably all but one of them have been offloaded to cloud services.
Yeah. Which is more secure, allegedly.
They're more, well, that there's certainly less at risk of anything going on in terms of the way they're backed up and would be available if something happened. Absolutely.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you.
So I've mentioned to the chief, I think he would like to just do a quick explanation if you're gonna have a meeting in 2 weeks. But even if it's not in 2 weeks, at the next meeting that you do have.
Fine.
Okay?
I'll, so we talk about that, so I do have a quick question though. So if he decides to do this watch card and go to the cloud, it looks like the subscription is gonna be like 16,000 next year and then 12,000 the year after, right? Did he budget this already? Is this part of the budget for next year? What do we have to do?
Years 2 through 5. So it looks like the first year is the real hit. And then here's per year.
Per year,
You know what?
Okay.
Well, that years 2 through 5 hasn't come yet. That would be in the next budget.
Yeah, but the next year he's gonna need.
He's gonna need to
Oh, I
budget
see
for
what
it,
you're
yes,
saying.
yeah,
Yeah,
Sorry.
he will need to, yeah.
right.
Okay, so I was gonna ask that same question, George, but I was gonna ask if we're looking at the total equipment cost of 80, and isn't it just really the first year subscription of 16, right?
It's
So-
equipment too, though. Not just subscription. It's equipment as well.
Yeah.
That's why it's higher.
So-
Not much.
63,000 plus the 16,000 for the year.
Oh,
63,000 would be spent this year. And then 16,000 would be in fiscal 27 budget, which is already done. So you have to figure that one out.
oh, okay, I got you. So it's 80 plus 63 plus 16.
Plus 50 for next year.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I was, okay. Understood.
Cool, that's right.
Okay, so he's essentially, he's down 15,000 from next year. Budget. Okay.
Couple other things, as Jeff mentioned to me before the meeting, we got the library grant paperwork yesterday for $2 million. I'm waiting for one document from our insurance company to name this Connecticut State Library as an additional insured. I went through the documents today and I should have them off to the Connecticut State Library tomorrow so that we can get that project going. That's exciting that we finally got on the agenda. It took a very long time to do that. Construction, look, a lot going on right now. I know Route 1. They're done with asphalt. That's the good news. And what you're going to be seeing over the next few days is landscaping, essentially. They're gonna be putting trees in, making the job look a little prettier. On June 15th, there's concrete curbing that will be going along the side of the road. That will take probably a day or two max because the truck continues to move as they pour the curbing. So it won't be a total block, but they think this project is mostly done. It truly is. I mean,
It's great.
the sidewalks are down. The asphalt has been completed at this point. At this point, it's extruded concrete curbing, some landscaping, some railings that need to be put up, but these guys are really pushing to get this done. Believe me, you guys are all laughing. No one wants this done more than me. I mean, I'm sick for the business owners over there too. I really am. So Jennifer is actually gonna do some promotions for them, maybe. Like, she still has some, what they call Saybucks through the chamber. So she may do raffles so that people go there and buy stuff and they can win a $50 Saybucks gift card. So, Main Street went very smoothly, I think, when they finally decided to do it. They had delayed it twice, but worked out really well. And they did a little bit more than we thought they were gonna do. So from Maynard Road all the way down to the corner here at Old Boston Post Road on the west side of the street, they went right to the curb.
Yeah.
So that's less that we'll have to do, but starting next Monday, Dibble's gonna come in and they're gonna saw cut, pull up and then pave sections of all the parking lot, all the parking stalls on Main Street.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be done section by section. So the stores that are impacted, there'll be plenty of parking around the
Yeah, yeah.
stores. Now, we live in the suburbs where you only want to park right in front of where you go, and I understand that. But so businesses at the worst are gonna be impacted for one day
Yeah.
while they do it.
They,
So-
it's amazing. We happen to be here and we woke up one morning and then it was like, oh my God, it's like, this wasn't here 12 hours ago.
Yeah,
It's
no.
really impressive.
It is.
How quickly it was done.
So nice.
We went to Sweet Luna's one night, we walked down there and we just watched the truck go down with the
Yeah.
machine that pulverizes, throwing the asphalt into the truck. Just amazing. It's an amazing process. horrible work, nighttime doing that. I mean, I can't even imagine. So that is gonna start next week. Jesse anticipates 2 weeks for that. So you're gonna see that.
It'll be the same asphalt, I mean, it'll look.
Yeah, it's gonna look the same. The striping, just so you know, the striping, they're gonna wait until they get one entire side of the street done
Yeah,
before they
makes sense.
stripe. Because striping is very expensive. Apparently, they charge a daily rate just to get there.
Wow.
And so they can do one side of the street in one day, so it doesn't make sense to have them come back. Oh, we did this little section, come in, because they charge a mobilization fee.
Mm,
So there's gonna be a little bit, it's gonna be a little chaotic with parking, until we finish one side of the
all you
street.
need is the first car in there and then everyone just line up, but people are
We'll
done.
start some parallel parking, maybe, right?
People don't always pay attention to the lines anyway. It'll be fine.
That's
There
true.
you go. Yeah, so Saybrook Point, we are having a discussion tomorrow with the low bidder on the seawall. We're having that discussion tomorrow at 2 p.m. And I think we're probably gonna end up, I mean, I did a reference check on this company, everything checked out. So we're optimistic that the low bidder on the seawall is going to be able to get the job. I'll prepare a contract and we will then move forward with that. The good news, even though this is the low bidder, sometimes that has a negative connotation. The first 4 or 5 bids were within a range. They weren't outrageously far apart. So this wasn't so crazy that, where these guys came in with a number. In addition, like I mentioned earlier, I have an RFP out right now for a landscape architect. The idea there is to, and it's in the RFP, no work will start until the town takes title. So we'll get the RFPs in, the day we take title, if we have capital funds ready to go, we can immediately hire someone and they can start designing the day we take title. That's the idea. We did this referendum, 2,700 people voted. I want to keep the ball moving on this. I want to keep things so that people know we are moving forward on it. I've seen some preliminary designs for what Mr. Kadama plans on doing down there. Doesn't look that much different than it looks now, but they are also moving forward and they plan on presenting to the land use boards or maybe even just Chris Costa relatively soon.
Carl,
So-
at one point you said, I
Yep.
think you said that the public will have input on design.
Yes,
That's
that
okay.
is in the RFP.
So how does that get accomplished? Is there like a series of meetings where you can come in and look and?
Yep, there'll be
Not a vote though.
public meetings where they will, maybe we reserve the auditorium and people come in and they see 2 or 3 designs. The selection committee, I plan on having a 5-person selection committee, 3 from Park and Rec, 1 from Economic Development and 1 from Planning. Ex officio to that committee will be myself, Chris Costa, Ray Allen, and Jennifer Donahue to provide additional input.
Nice.
I don't want to get overcomplicated. I figure it's gonna be tough enough to probably get the designs down to the top 3 and then select 1. Lastly, one kind of funny thing and one happy thing. June 28th is our Celebrate Saybrook party. That's a happy thing. Really coming along nicely. We've had a lot of meetings on this, and our funding is good. Our largest contributor came through again. So we have that money in hand or should have it in hand any day. In addition, as you know, the town is putting aside funding for this party every year. The bands are all set up. We have over 100 vendors, lots of food, 4 beer vendors, a cidery, and somebody who sells spirits also. The spirits you buy by the bottle though, you don't just drink the spirits as you're walking up and down the street. But the cidery and the 4 beer vendors will also be there. So that's June 28th, 4 to 8:30, followed by an America 250 drone show. So it's gonna be incredible. I'll be doing some media on that over the next few weeks. Gonna try to get on channel 8 and channel 3 and do that. The other thing is, as many of you recall, if you were in town in 2021, there are two bridges on Great Hammock Road that needed replacement. One over the Plum Bank Bridge, one over the Back River Bridge, okay? They did Plum Bank in 2021. They did the Back River Bridge subsequent to that, maybe 2024. So about 2 years ago exactly, I got a call from the state, and the guy said to me, "Hey Carl, how you doing?" I said, "Good." He goes, "You know the Plum River Bridge we did?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "We built it too low." So the navigational clearance under the Plum Bank River is too low. They have to raise the
Oh,
infrastructure
God.
of the bridge. And so he emailed me today, and so the public information meeting, I'm gonna actually try to do it in this room so that Larry got the email today that I sent out, so we can do not only public participation in the room, but also on Zoom, because there's going to be a lot of people who are questioning this. And these are expensive projects. These are $4 or $5 million bridge projects. So I don't know what the reinvestment in this bridge is gonna be. I felt sick for them. I really did. I felt bad for them because this bridge in particular, people wanted a walking, they wanted it wider, they wanted it raised because of sea level rise, and they didn't do any of that. So now I told them, when he called me in August of 2024, I said, if you want to make people happy, raise it higher than you anticipated raising it last time. And that way you can say you've taken you've taken their comments to heart, and you are raising it for sea level rise, and maybe make it a little wider. I don't know if they will.
So is there liability for them? If, did they make a mistake? Did they? Don't know.
That's not me. So I didn't ask. I
Okay,
didn't ask if it was an engineering or a construction issue.
okay.
Didn't ask.
It's not a town, it's a state road, so they can,
State road,
they can do whatever,
bridges.
they can do whatever they want,
I
right?
got you. But we don't have to pay.
But
for the
apparently
fee.
the navigational clearance under that bridge
It's minimal.
was too low.
I didn't think there was any to begin with.
Well, you
Yeah.
can get under there as a
Kayak.
kayaker, maybe.
Kayaker.
Kayaker.
No, they can't.
Take out the bridge.
Carl, when are they proposing to do it? Really, in the middle of the summer with?
No,
visitors here?
no, it'll be, but they do it before Memorial Day or after.
Yeah, we pay.
They never do it in the summer,
Gotta be after.
but it involves a detour
Yeah.
Yeah.
for both the buses, for residents. and People are just gonna be like,
It's a nightmare.
I know.
Do they
Put a
have
big
to-
sign,
bridge?
don't call
Yeah,
Carl.
sure.
I'll
I'll
just
just
take
find
that.
out.
Apparently they're gonna raise, this is what it says, raise the superstructure. So I don't know if they're gonna saw cut it.
RAIS.
No, yes, not it.
Yeah,
That's RAISE.
Not RAZ.
So, yeah, not RAZ, yeah. So
Gonna jack it up.
apparently,
Just like your house, if you spend more
yeah,
than you should.
They get a drawbridge.
yeah.
Swing bridge. Oh, yeah. Bridge.
The money.
Have they considered dredging? I mean, it's for 4 kayaks a year.
It'll approach 10 million.
For 4 kayaks a year, yeah, right. Wow,
Anyway,
what a drag.
that's it.
I live just on the other side of that bridge, which is unfortunate.
That is.
I do.
Thanks to Sarah for attending. Thank you, Linda. People.
Meet everybody.
Any questions?
Just quickly to finish up, anybody else from public, okay, comments from board members?
I
No.
do. I wanted
Please,
to
yeah.
say thank you. I want to say thank you for Carl and Leanne and to the Board of Finance, but for making this library renovation project happen. I am so excited that that's coming to fruition, and it did. The bonding got approved, and I wanted to thank you. I've gotten advertisements and emails from every politician I've never talked to that was responsible for this library renovation, but you actually are. So, so thank you.
It's funny, well, I shouldn't, I had to make our representatives aware that this was even happening.
That's what I thought.
That's every state rep, every senator, when these bond awards come out, 2 million for Old Saybrook, 5 million for East Side, that, and I get that. That's part of the campaigning, part of the marketing. But
then,
Mark, you and I know a lot of what made that happen.
yes, it's awesome anyway. And then the other thing I just want to remind everybody that next Wednesday, and we have a pretty big event at 6 on the town hall green with the Coast Guard band, but there's another bigger event before that at 4:30, right, Carl?
Yes.
Okay.
What's
Be
the event?
there or be square. Leanne.
The retirement.
Going there, sorry.
Okay. I forgot to.
Little going away and welcome party.
Yeah.
So thanks, Mario. I was gonna mention that, on my, I mean, any other comments, anybody else? I was gonna mention that when I was gonna say a few things, so next, the 10th, the summer's coming up, and so if people want to cancel meetings and so on, we should definitely talk about that, but the 18th, we cannot, like, I think the.
Let me get back to with what meeting in August we're gonna want.
Okay, yeah,
I'll get back to you with the schedule.
but I think we also
You
talked,
could do the one before the 18th also, but we let him pick because you know, so if you wanted him to,
what it was, I forget which month it was.
pardon me?
I forget which month it was that.
August 18th.
Oh, it's all-
he
okay.
picked. Now that could be a pretty, this is Kevin, Nichols at,
Yeah.
Morgan Stanley, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He could be on the 18th to do the presentation, but he also is available the first one, so if you wanted to come a different one, let me know now.
He's available August 4th also.
He is, yeah, we let him pick, he picked the 18th.
Let me get back to you.
Yeah.
What where we might be with the bond issuance. And if we have to bump Kevin, we bump Kevin.
And then, if it's Labor Day weekend coming up and 4th of July is coming up, then I'm not actually sure how they coincide with the meetings and so much, so just keep that in mind.
Our first meeting in July is the 7th.
Right.
Okay.
If we cancel that, I would not.
I would love if we canceled July 7th. I wouldn't cry at all.
Yeah, neither would I.
Okay.
I was doing that one.
Then the
But
late,
please have Jerry send an email to everyone.
and then the Labor Day,
Meeting Barbara.
the Labor Day weekend, there's a meeting right after Labor Day weekend as well, so
What is that? What it would be the day after, or would it be September 1st?
I don't know when they.
What are you talking about?
Right,
Labor Day.
yeah, Tuesday the 1st.
First Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
was
it's the first,
September 1st is the first meeting in September.
yeah, we don't have one the week of Labor Day. It's the first and the,
But Labor Day is
Labor Day's the
7th.
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 You're probably gonna wanna have that meeting with, what's going on a little bit,
Sure, okay.
POS, the final POS and.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, all right, just want to keep in mind. All
I'll get back to you.
right, very good. Any motion to adjourn? No more. Thank you very much. Second.
next time.
Bye.